A social worker for Northampton has been awarded the right to continue working from home during the pandemic due to a pre-existing condition. But their preliminary victory in court didn't come without a legal struggle with their employer.
Western Mass News reporter Sabrina Riley spoke with the lawyers involved, getting answers on what you should do if you find yourself in a similar situation.
Gabriel Peeples is a social worker at Clinical Support Options in Northampton, who started a job as a manager on March 2nd, 2 weeks before the pandemic forced the state into a lockdown.
I teleworked for 3 months, a little over 3 months before being asked to return to the office.
As someone who suffers from asthma, heading back into the office came with a great deal of stress, anxiety, and potential danger.
Fearing for my health and safety and continued health and safety, while also trying to be present for my clients.
Peeples argued that after 3 months of successfully working via telehealth, that should be able to continue. But the employer pushed back, saying the job of a social worker is an essential service.
Initially, I was granted medical accommodation because of my asthma and my doctor's advisement that I continue to work remotely for my health. And that was accepted, and then it was not.
That's why Peeples reached out to a local law firm for help.
There wasn't a real, as the court found in their determination, an individualized assessment of why they needed Gabriel in particular back in the office.
After taking the case to court, a preliminary injunction was issued, meaning that for at least 60 days, Peeples can continue working remotely until a final decision is made.
The court found that Gabriel continuing to telework was not an undue burden on the employer. So it was the fair and the right thing to do was what the court did was intervene to ensure that Gabriel's rights could be protected under the ADA.
And if you find yourself in a similar situation, they explained to Western Mass News how the Americans with Disabilities Act could help you.
The Americans with Disabilities Act, which entitles a qualified worker to a reasonable accommodation if one is needed to perform their job. If anybody has any questions about what their rights are for both employers and employees, that they consult with the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission.
Moving forward, it's still unclear if Peeples will be granted long-term relief, but from a legal standpoint, the injunction is a step in the right direction.
Our hope is that they'll continue to accommodate their need until their medical providers can determine that it's safe for Gabriel to return to the office.
For Western Mass News, I'm Sabrina Riley.
In a statement provided to Western Mass News, Gabriel's employer at Clinical and Support Options tells us in part, quote, Clinical and Support Options is in the unique and challenging position of having to balance the safety of our employees with the fulfillment of being an essential service health provider. With specific regards to Gabriel Peeples, this is an ongoing court case. I can tell you that Gabriel has not been terminated and termination was never considered.